Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to episode 8 of Rapid Unscheduled Discussion. I'm your co-host Seth, the other co-host Daryl Sausse, and this week we have a very special guest, someone who I've known for a while in the community. You guys probably all know I wish I could say my favorite Canadian, but I have multiple Canadians that I'm friends with. Geoff Barrett, everybody. Jeff, how's it
Hi.
going?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Thanks for
good.
having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Uh, how have your weeks been? Because this week I don't even know what happened this week.
I don't even know. It's been a week.
It's
Yeah.
definitely been a week. I would agree with that.
It's a week where a lot happened, but it seems like not a lot happened at the same time. Like I couldn't tell you what happened last week, but
I don't know either. I went to work this morning and we have like stand-ups every morning for work. I have to tell everyone like what I did the day before, and so I had to remember what I did Friday. And I'm walking in and I'm like, I don't know what I did Friday. But today I'm gonna work on this, and then I go back to my desk. I'm like, oh, I already did this
yeah.
Friday. But yeah, pretty much everything's canceled. Life is canceled.
Yep.
Earth is canceled. Humanity is canceled. Uh,
Yeah.
Daryl, how's it going? How you hanging down there in New Orleans?
Oh, let me tell you what, this city's full of a bunch of dumb people. Let me tell you.
Same here.
Yeah, we're not. All right, let me say it like this: the rest of the people in the city are not acting too smart about all this stuff. I personally am. My family is. Excuse me, but the rest of the city, no, because try telling a city like this to not go out drinking on Bourbon Street, and it doesn't work. I put out a tweet the other night because of how crazy it was that Bourbon Street was getting closed down. Like they do this at the end of Mardi Gras, like Fat Tuesday, right at midnight. Cops roll down Bourbon Street. It's like the ceremonial end of Mardi Gras. No, this was like, yo, we're serious. Go the hell home.
Yeah,
It's gotten pretty nuts here.
and
And the city's getting hit pretty hard with this stuff too.
yeah, and
So,
last week was the kickoff of spring break. Yeah, maybe have been the week
mhm.
before that, but we're in the middle of spring break season right now, and we closed the beaches. Like, what else can you do? Like, and they're all still there. There's videos of just jam packed beaches all along the coast, but it's like we
Mhm.
closed the beaches, and it's only like enforced the first day because you can't really have all your cops at the beaches all day long.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot to keep closed down.
yeah, try telling a bunch of college kids who just spent I don't know like $600 to come for a week here, not the party.
That's it?
I don't know, probably way more.
Yeah,
I
I'm sure it's a
I
lot
never
more.
went. I never partied for spring break because when I went to college, I actually like spring break was the time for me to take a break, legitimate break. I
Yeah,
was so busy all throughout the week because I did my degree in 2 years instead of four. I'm gonna go home. I went back to Wisconsin and I just slept. So I never actually went. So I
Makes
have no idea
sense.
how much it costs, but I'm sure it's probably a couple $1,000s they've spent of their hard-earned student loans
yeah.
Yeah.
Mommy and daddy's money.
or
We
that.
used to see those types all the time down here, and you can always tell the ones with the mommy daddy money. And oh god, they would be so pretentious about it.
When
But
they,
anyway, we digress.
we, yeah, we don't need to go about that. Really, I mean, what happened in space? I thought we were just gonna have a launch, and then that was it. And
And then
then
we had a LOL nope.
we had a we had a liftoff dot 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 disregard, and then
Yeah.
and then we had I don't know about if you guys even heard about this because it's China. They had a failure yesterday of their
No,
long
that
march
was
seven.
today.
Was that today or
That
was
was
that
today.
yesterday?
Yeah. It was
That
this
was
morning.
today.
Oh, was it this
Yeah.
morning? I thought it happened yesterday. I have
Yeah.
my dude.
Yep.
I don't
Saw
even know
some
what day it
videos
is.
of it.
Yeah,
Saw
I
some
saw.
like pirated videos and things like that, and it looked fine, but it was apparently like the third stage that didn't go off. And I don't know how folks are getting that information there because we're just having to rely on, Chinese social media that thankfully there's people who can translate it for us, Google. And And yeah, they said that the third stage failed, but the rest of the launch vehicle, I mean, that's
I think it went fine. Yeah.
yeah. The rest of it apparently went fine. They, like normal, lit it off. It went up, and I'm sure they dropped their first stages down on people because it's China.
This was on the
So-
Yeah,
coast.
there's lots of pictures of that.
This one was
Oh,
actually
I
on
think
the
they
coast.
I think they still land on people's houses regardless.
Yeah,
It seems like
okay.
every Chinese flight I see, there's something on a house or
Yeah.
next to
Yeah,
a
I
house.
think. Yeah, I remember I saw
and
posts.
now with a heavy lift, there's more of it.
No, but I think this one's on the coast. I think only maybe the first stage. But what I know, I thought it was this is straight up on the coast, so everything's over the ocean for this launch.
They'll still figure out a way to.
Yeah, they have the grid fins to steer it back.
Yeah,
You gotta
exactly.
take out
Right
the
on the.
You gotta take out the infected somehow. You know?
Oh no!
Oh.
No, that's how it starts. That's how it starts. This is a mutated form of Hypergolics.
Isn't it how Venom was started in Spider-Man on like a
Probably.
space shuttle or
No,
something?
this wasn't Hypergalax. This was RP1. This was Carolax.
Oh,
Maybe,
okay.
well, at least for the first stage. I'm not sure about the second or third stage. But I wouldn't.
Wait, Jeff, wasn't that how oh, what was it? Dark Phoenix started out when it came out like
I
last
don't
year or
know.
something.
Is either that or one of the original cartoons? I think, or one of the '90s cartoons. They went up on a space shuttle, or like the guy that turned into Venom. I don't know.
I think I remember that being in the X-Men series though. Something about them going up. Oh, or did they take that? I don't know. You know what? Now we all have the time to go back and watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
it might
shit.
be on.
This,
What?
This rocket is so first stage Carolax, second stage what? Boosters are Carolax, first stage is Carolax, second stage Carolax, third stage is Hydrolox.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's actually it's a clean rocket pretty much.
Quote unquote.
I'm not sure what else. I'm not sure what the quote would be, but it's not a
Clean-ish.
Yeah, it's not hypergolic though, which is bravo to China for not using hypergolics for their rockets.
Yeah, unlike the Proton.
Yeah, well, the Proton and the second stage of the Soyuz is also hypergolic, but at least Russia's at least. Well, no, Proton's not China. Proton's Russia.
No, yeah, Proton's Russian. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But it's like all hypergolic. Like it's really pretty while it's launching, but when it goes wrong, and we've all seen that video, it really goes bad.
It's like by far one of my favorite videos of a failed launch. Like it's just like no one cares. It's turning upside down. No one cares, and explosion.
See, I always reference that video because Russia does not believe in a flight termination system. It's like in Soviet Russia, flight terminates you.
Yeah, pretty much. That is very much true.
Yeah, speaking of things that didn't go right this week, SpaceX failed to launch. They basically had an on-pad abort.
They aborted the launch.
Aborted.
They did not fail. They didn't technically fail.
True, they did not fail.
I'm not sure if this is a failure or this is an abort, because technically the engines did start up.
It's an abort, kind of like how if you know a little bit of space shuttle history, how they had like RSLS aborts. I've done enough space shuttle history where I've come across it a few times. It's where it's like the main engines ignite, they power up, they quickly test themselves, and if they see something they don't like, they shut off. Well, Falcon 9 does the same thing. Hey, I didn't like that, so it shut off. And really, it's weird if you go back and listen to the webcast and whatnot, and you compare it to other ones. Some did not sound right on ignition. Like one or two of those just did not light up.
Yeah, I don't think that it did.
What was the countdown at?
It was
zero.
At zero.
Was that
So
zero?
at ignition.
It was at zero. Yeah,
Yeah.
It ignited and it was doing its little test, and it's like, nope, I don't like something. Let's not go to space today.
Seriously, it was 3, 2, 1, and then the person said lift off, and then it was like a little bit.
Oh, really?
And then the person said disregard.
Yeah.
It's still there.
She even hesitated. Who is that does that countdown? Do we know who that is? Like, because we've seen videos of Gwen Shotwell being in their mission control in Hawthorne before. She's not the one that does the countdown on every launch, right? I can't believe that's her.
It has to be.
Right.
I don't know.
it sounds the same person every time. So
Yeah, oh yeah,
I,
it's the same person every time, or it has
the
been the
person
same
who
person for
hosted
a
the
long
live
time.
cast, the webcast, was that this? Did she do that before? Was that her first time? I don't remember.
Who?
The person who hosted
What, the
the
one on
space.
Sunday?
Yeah, the SpaceX stream. I don't.
No, she.
Okay, she's done
That
it
dude
before.
who was talking was new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he was like a supply chain guy. He wasn't any kind of engineer or anything like that.
Well,
It still seemed cool.
he's off.
He had a
He's no longer
he had,
a host.
yeah, he had a wild first time out. He's either going to be back on a regular basis or he's done. It's
Yeah,
like
I think.
there is no in between like John and Sprocker where we'll come to him every now and again. He's either going to be there all the time or never again.
So, what the actual? I have literally three items for news, and well, other than that
Okay.
stuff, three items for news. First is this happened March 12th. NASA selected the first science instruments to send to Gateway. The first two instruments. So the one of them will be one's built by ESA, one's being built by NASA. The ESA one is the radiation instrument package that study radiation. And then NASA is building a solar particle and solar wind instrument, or just a space weather instrument for solar stuff. They kind of like pretty much learn how weather is out there, which I think is pretty dope. Like
Space weather. Are they going to have Ollie Williams like they did on Family Guy with the
it gonna rain.
Star Wars episodes? No, they had like a newscast on the Death Star, and they're like, "No, let's go to Ollie Williams for your weather, space weather." Thanks, Ollie. Space weather.
And the 45th would be doing space weather. We're gonna have some galactic particles. It's gonna rain. No, that's really all they really talked about is that they're gonna be putting this stuff, and that's who they're gonna build it and whatnot. I mean, it's coming together. It's coming together. Hopefully.
Kind of slowly.
Possibly. On paper. It's coming together on paper.
I have my doubts.
See, I don't have my doubts with NASA. I have my doubts with Congress and the contractors. That's what I have my doubts with. Though, it doesn't look like they'll be doing cost plus contracting at all this one. Hopefully. But, since it's just kind of a new thing.
I don't get that cost plus stuff. It's like, here's some money, build the stuff, make sure it works, and let's freaking go.
The thing behind it was back when they first started doing these cost plus contracts, back in the, I believe it was the Apollo era and stuff like that, like the 60s and 50s, when they were launching those, Gemini, Mercury. I have those in wrong order, but whatever. It wasn't profitable to do that. Like, it was not, like, the companies had to make money, so they would sell you the cost plus make sure that they had profit, just to guarantee they had profit. So they can actually get this stuff done. Though it has turned into when now there is profit to do it. Though I wouldn't say there is profit in SLS at all. So possibly cost plus is the better way of doing it. Though there's nothing in this contract. The issue is that there's really nothing to hold them to their like stand, like to make sure stuff gets done. Like there's nothing to hold them to. Though where is that?
It's like it's like, remember, the space shuttle back in the day before Challenger, it was actually ramping up to the point where it was going to make back its money. It really was. It really was. They were, working up toward hitting that goal of something like, I don't know, 12 or 20 launches a year, something like that. It was crazy. They were really turning them around fast. In fact, it's I want to say it's Atlantis still holds the record for the fastest turnaround of a launch vehicle. I mean, you look at something like SpaceX nowadays, they haven't even beat it. They came close. They came really close.
Yeah, they were a few days off, weren't they?
Yeah, just a few days off, but they still haven't beat Atlantis yet.
Okay.
And
that's just with the booster, right?
You talking about the
just with the
reuse?
reused booster?
Yeah. I don't think we've. I don't even know what the turnaround time is for the Fairings. I don't even know if they even.
No, yeah.
The fairings might be a very
I don't
long
think they're.
time, but
I don't think they're close with fairings yet.
not even
No.
close. If they
No,
are,
not at all.
maybe they are, but I don't. No, because
You-
they've been reusing them for Starlink launches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Did
haven't
you
been-
notice
those
what
are
was
very
missing?
far.
Did you
Was-
notice what was missing on those fairings?
The logo?
Well,
No, they had
not
the
just the
logo.
logo, but remember the first time they reused fairings, they put like a watermark on it for when they fished out of the water.
Oh, really? Did
Oh
they?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's kinda
I saw
cool.
everybody's picture, and you can see it on the webcast that it was not there.
Uh,
But also on the webcast, they had some new camera views, some new camera angles. They obviously had one on top of their horizontal integration facility, the HIF. See, I got it right. And
hey.
they even had a new angle which kind of looks down at the rest of the pad, so you could see all the extra stuff they've been doing for the Starship modifications and things like that. So that was really cool.
Awesome.
Go back and skim through it. They had a lot of
Yeah.
new good angles on it.
Yeah, I slept through it. I woke up at like 10. I'm like, dang it.
It's just a Starlink.
Yeah.
You technically didn't miss anything.
I technically did not.
That's true.
No. Though, if I would have
That's
restreamed it, I probably would have kind of, oh, that's an abort, and then they would have happened, because I'm pretty good like that, I'm pretty awesome.
Now to follow up with all of that, they just a little while ago they did announce that they have their new time set for Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, Wednesday. That's true. I was looking for it.
Yeah,
Uh,
Wednesday, March 18th at 8:16 a.m. Florida time, 12:16
I'm going to sleep
UTC.
through that. I mean, I usually wake up at 7:15 in the morning on weekdays, but I would not.
No, it's 8:16 your time.
Yeah, I usually wake up at 7:15, but
Oh.
that's
Right.
not reliable. So.
I'll probably be
I
up.
would
I'll go
not
for an
say that's
early
a-
morning run.
Though, yeah, we were talking about SLS and the cost plus contracting.
Yeah.
Office of Inspector General for the core stage, upper stage, RS-25 engines, solid rocket booster contracts, says that they have gone over their budget for what was for the fiscal year of 2019 by 33%.
No way.
What a surprise!
Over budget?
What? How? How would they do that?
SLS? No.
No. Why would they ever do that?
And you know what? Full disclosure, as much as we joke about it, we still want to see it fly because
Hell
I'm
yeah.
sure some way or another, we all know somebody who's involved in working on it, and at this point, y'all need to succeed.
Yep.
Y'all will succeed.
That's gonna
So,
be
here-
probably one of my favorite
here's to
launches.
y'all. Oh yes.
If it
I-
actually
I've-
launches, probably one of my favorites.
And you know, it's funny. Still to this point, I have not seen anything launch from 39A or B. As
Yeah,
many
well,
launches I've been to.
I've never seen someone
almost
launch from
did.
B, but only from A, and well, I've seen it from all launches, all launch pads. So
I
other than
I almost saw something last year. It was that damn ArabSat mission. I swear, I went to the ArabSat mission. All I got was this lousy keychain, but I got a Falcon Heavy one hot.
wow, okay, yeah. Before the
Showing
stream,
off.
we were all going over our stuff that we got, and we were trying to one
That's
up each
literally
other.
all I got. Yeah, go ahead. That's
So,
literally all I
I mean, Jeff, do you want to talk about all the stuff you've gotten? Because we didn't talk about like how did you get into space? How did you get into graphics? I mean, you guys have all seen Jeff's graphics, obviously.
I sure hope y'all
And
have.
if you have not, what are you doing in life? We use them for SCLA, the handout stuff. Well, we've used them once. We're gonna use them again, and then
Yeah.
you push them all up on Twitter. So how did you get doing that?
So, I guess with space, I've always been interested in space, but in just all aspects, whether it's launches or anything else. But growing up in Canada, we kind of we don't really get it shoved in your face as much. So
Where all the launches happen, obviously.
exactly, yeah.
The number one
So-
The
space,
action happens.
the number one space country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. So we have a cool Canada arm, and we're all really proud of our
You
arms.
guys are very proud of that.
Exactly. But besides that, we don't get the news, right? Like I'm assuming you guys down in Florida will get news of rocket launches all the time. I'm just assuming.
It's on the right. It's on like the nightly local newscast down there.
Oh,
It's crazy.
down here-
I wish I had that here in New Orleans.
Where I'm at,
Yeah.
no one cares at all.
Because
Yeah,
it happens so much, right?
Literally, people don't give a single flying fuck about launch. at all.
Honestly, Seth, I think you're a little too far. You're outside of that bubble. The Orlando area, they care. But
Yeah, they're pretty.
outside of that, they don't.
Even Orlando, because I lived in Orlando for 2 years. There's still people who like don't even know about space. Like they didn't even know that Kennedy Space Center was half an hour away. So, like, I had to explain to my barber who lives down here that United States wasn't the only one who can go to space. He thought that the United States were the only people who had the capability of getting people into space.
I talk to people that don't know that United States can't send people to space anymore. Like, even to this day, people don't know that.
Yeah, I had to break it to him that Russia was the first one to get to space. He took that one pretty hard, but he took it like a champ. Took it like a champ.
Damn commies! I'm sure he said something like that.
He was like, "Well, like who else launches?" I'm like, "Well, Russia. They launch all the Americans to space now." He's like, "What do you mean?" Like, "Well, we haven't been able to launch people to space since 2011?" He goes,
11, yeah.
Like, wait, Russia can launch people to space? I'm like, yeah, they were the first. Wait, they were the first? I'm like, yeah. Who else can launch people to space? China?
Wow.
And I'm like, he's like, what? China? Well, I mean, they kind of can, but like,
they can. They just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, like, what happened? Like, NASA got defunded, didn't they? And I'm like, no. NASA didn't get defunded. They just didn't get another rocket. They were still working on their next rocket. Even he's against SLS with how long it's taking. And he knows nothing.
Yeah. So up in Canada, we don't really hear about anything to do with space unless it directly affects Canada. And I guess the most recent example would have been, not most recent, but Chris Hadfield was like the one to bring space back to Canada, I guess, when he was up on the space station and just tweeting everything, and him and his son Evan were just sharing everything, right? So his son was running his social media and really doing a really good job of representing Canada up there. So I kind of lost. I've always been a fan of space, but never one particular thing until I guess 2018. I wanted to do something creative, and I didn't see anybody making infographics or graphics for launches, so I thought it'd be cool to try it. And if you look at my original graphic, the first one I ever did was for, I think, one of the Japanese launches, and it looks like garbage. to be honest,
that's where we all started.
2018, is where I started making them, and I just thought it was cool, and nobody else was doing it, and it kind of took off. So now I make one for almost every single launch. I don't make any for Chinese launches because half the time you don't even know they're launching, and there's a lot of misinformation there.
They've launched so much. Like, I tried tracking every single launch this year on, like, I got Nathan Barker's launch calendar, or rocket or photography calendar, and I've been trying every time there's a launch. I write it in on the day. Dude, I can't keep up with China. Like, I can't keep up with
I know. Like, I've got the Spaceflight Now app that tells you what's coming up and, the different progress of each mission as it launches and whatnot. And I swear, like, every other day, long march this, long march that. Like, good Lord, China, knock it off.
Like, chill.
Save some space for the rest of us.
They're trying to catch up to, SpaceX with their Starlink satellites. They got to catch up.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Dude, I love your graphics. They're so great.
They really are.
They make it so easy to tell people about the launch. Like, it's just so much easier. That's why I used to show people on like my phone at launches, and it's like, and they get it. So I'm like, I just gotta start printing these things off. So
the biggest thing that made me keep making them was because friends of mine on Facebook or wherever, like actual personal friends, were just surprised at, what you mean there's actual launches happening all the time? Like, this is a constant thing. And just those guys being a fan of it made me keep going. Not the hardcore space guys, but the people that didn't even realize we were launching stuff is why I kept making them. So it's good information, a good way to get it out.
And you started doing a little bit of like astrophotography, right? At least I've seen on your Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Like some pictures. Dude, you got you got Starlink in a photo like last night?
Yeah. So me and my buddy were out last night actually. Um, he has a huge giant telescope, so we were looking at all sorts of stars and galaxies and literally everything we could find. And we're just kind of yelling at each other every time a satellite flew by, and he would shake his fist at, say, the Starlink or something, just jokingly, because he's an actual star guy or telescope guy. So he doesn't want the all the Starlink satellites up there. So he would jokingly shake his fist at, and then the satellites just kept going. They just kept flying by, and we were like, "Holy crap! This is Starlink!" Like we didn't plan it. We didn't think it was actually happening, but yeah, there they are.
Dude, you're better than most of the photographers out down here because we can't see crap. Oh, we can't.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we attempted. I think I've attempted 3 times. No, I've attempted twice. Once with twice with Julia, then once with John. Once whatever. But up in Cape Canaveral area, it's like nope. Like you guys up in Canada, like you guys get the nicest skies.
Yeah, this wasn't bad, and this is about 10 minutes from my house.
Is that all light pollution on the bottom of your Starlink shot, or is that like something else?
Yeah, for the most part. Okay. Yeah.
It's crazy from at 2 o'clock in the morning in Cape Canaveral, you can see the light pollution from Orlando. It's that bright, and it's irritating because that ruined, I think, our Starlink shots because they went right through it. So yep, we just couldn't see anything.
I was lucky enough to get Venus obviously in the shot there as well, so that was kind of cool. Oh, really? Yeah, this is like maybe my second time out taking pictures.
Jeez,
and again, I have no idea what I'm doing, so.
So do we. We don't know anything either.
That's how it starts. I mean, I'm in the same boat. It's like I got an idea of what I do, what I want to do, and I picked up some things. I got like a sky tracker and a couple of filters to help out because I'm in a heavily light polluted area. Like if you've looked into the Bortle scale at all, it goes from 1 to 9, with 9 being the worst, and I'm in a Bortle's 8. It doesn't really get much worse from here, so I need a way to cut down on that. But
I wouldn't be surprised if I'm in a 9.
You're probably in an 8 or.
Yeah, because I can barely see planets like Venus or Jupiter. Barely see them.
Oh yeah, you're in
really
for sure. You're in a 9.
Wow.
Pretty much.
So this was actually, that picture was probably 9 o'clock at night, I guess.
Okay. It's usually when you can see them pretty well.
But yeah, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but again, 10 minutes from my house, so it's
still no. Yeah. At least you're not in the middle of all that, so that'll really help you out. Me, I need to drive. I need to get out here to do stuff.
Actually, one of my older pictures from a few days ago or last week, it was actually from my backyard, and it picks up quite a bit. You could see Orion pretty well. Nice. Yeah. I had the side of my house, I think, in the picture, but so we get a pretty good sight for stars here.
Yeah. There were a few times where it gets you could see, I could see Orion's belt. Orion, kind of, very slightly I can see it if it's dead at night.
Yeah, we actually saw the Orion Nebula last night through his telescope.
Oh yeah,
and I think it's in one of those replies to that tweet.
You're just making me more jealous, bro.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, you can kind of see I took that picture with my cell phone through the lens of his telescope, and
what?
It actually showed up. Yeah.
So is it a tracking telescope or?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh okay. Yeah, that's. I had the attachments to attach a camera to one for the eclipse. Have not pulled it out since. Shame on me. I've also got all kinds of solar filters that I bought just for that. Which I figure, let me take a look at the sun again one of these days and see what I can do. Yeah, but yeah, dude, that's great. That's a great start, man. You're gonna do some good stuff with that, I'm sure.
What's your camera setup?
Yeah. It's a Yeah, that's a cool picture. I'm still impressed with. That's through my cell phone.
That's nice. That's not bad for your cell phone.
Oh yeah.
It's the astrophotography mode on the Pixel. So, but
Wait,
I had to hold it.
the Pixel 2 got it? The Pixel 2
the
got
Pixel
that mode?
2 is no. Sorry, not officially.
Ish.
Oh. Wink.
Yeah, I put it on there.
Well, damn, if I would have known that, I wouldn't have got the Pixel 4. I'm gonna just pluck that out of here.
There you go.
Get that out of here.
But my camera for the other stuff is just a Nikon D3400 with whatever lens comes with it, and a tripod of some kind.
Probably like the.
Hey.
Did you get like a kit
So
with like the like a
Your
kit
hand.
with the lens and the tripod and like all that stuff came together?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay. So that's about the same. Okay. I just looked at it. I'm like, I'm not a Nikon guy, so I just gotta look it up
I
and
don't know
like,
what
see
it
where it
compares
is. That's like similar to like probably like a T6 or a T6i maybe. But
And one of the problems I'm having though is actually I got three main problems that I'm slowly working through. Is focus. I couldn't figure out how to focus on stars, so I'm learning that slowly to focus on just something that's far away.
you just gotta make sure the light. You just gotta bring it as small as possible. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
Like you won't actually get it focused because it's too far
No.
away. You just gotta get it as small as possible, pretty much.
And
But
then my
that's-
other issue is tripod because it's not sturdy enough. When I'm pushing the shutter, it's moving a little bit.
Yep. Well, for long exposures, yeah, you definitely need a remote shutter. Definitely need a remote shutter.
So it's all on the Amazon wish list.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Yep. I just went through my wish list the other day, so. When I went through it, I mean bought it.
Jeez.
Yeah, I can tell by your tweet.
Oh,
So if you got any leftover tripods or remotes, just ship them up here.
Nope. Nope.
I tell you what, I use one for whenever I'm out playing around with the astrophotography stuff. Actually, I put my MyOps trigger to use with that. Seeing as how I'm not lucky enough to set up pad remotes like, all kinds of other people out there, I figure, let me give this some other use. And, the fact that you can control it from a cell phone, so you don't even have to bother touching it and knocking anything like out of focus or off target or something like that. Because, especially when you start getting into deep sky stuff, like you got to get it on there and leave it alone. So it's great to have something wireless or over Bluetooth, so it's great for that. And those things, dude, they hold the charge forever. I've had one for like 9-10 months now, used it sparingly here and there, still have not needed to charge it. It's ridiculous.
You said later this week about the launch community can probably single-handedly like keep MyOps in business, and I'm like, wait, does anyone other than launch photographers use MyOps? Like,
surprisingly, yes.
I can
I'm
see,
part of.
Like I can see
So,
how,
all right.
because you can have light stuff, right? That can release a shutter when you have like a blow of lightning.
It can do lightning. I'm part of a Facebook group for MyOps triggers users, and literally all they post is the water droplet stuff. Like they have no other reason to use these. I'm like, so you bought this trigger and the water droplet kit that has a little pump that you dunk in a cup of water that shoots up a droplet and takes a picture for you, and you bought all of this stuff just for that picture? I'm like, cool. They came out great, but
that hurts. That hurts.
No, there's still people who buy them. Yes, lightning photography, those come out great, but you rarely see those in that group.
It's very hard to get. They're very hard to get, I think.
What, the triggers or
lightning shots? Like you kind of just gotta get lucky. You kind of just gotta set up your camera and hope there's like when a thunderstorm's going by, and just hope there's a really good crack of lightning. People probably up in the Midwest probably get them all the time because they have so many thunderstorms that come by, and down here in Florida. Yeah. But that would be something I would love to get. Though I can't do any photography out of my back porch because it's the screen, so it's all screened in.
Dang.
So,
I guess that helps with them skeeters.
No, not one bit.
I hate mosquitoes.
It's not
Hate 'em.
big, not small enough. But yeah, just to because I can. That tweet that Daryl was looking through that went through my when I went through my Amazon list. Yeah, I think I overdid it.
Yeah.
I think
Just
I
a
think
smidge.
like okay. To be honest, I don't think I'll probably use this all. Well, okay, no, I'll probably use it all. But the iPad is there for possibilities. But like, so people listening, like, I just went through, like, because I do, my thing was, what my tweet was, some people choose streaks, stills. Some people have to choose between streaks, stills, videos, or live streams. I choose all of the above. And that's pretty much what it is.
Prepared.
It's pretty much a setup for all three. For all four, I mean.
My plan for SalCon lets me get all of them because I just got one of these guys.
Oh, wait.
This guy.
Oh, what is it? Your video stream, but you're probably fine on Skype.
Oh.
One of those
I got-
little separators?
No, it's a 8mm fisheye.
Oh. Well, you can only
Yeah.
you can only do a streak with that.
That's
like-
fine.
Like my setup, I can do a streak, I can do stills, I can do a live stream, and I can do a video all at once.
I could do.
Now, can I do
I could
all
find
four?
other uses for this stuff.
Can I do all four at the same time? Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, nail one thing first and then build up from there.
No,
'cause I think that's my problem.
No, do everything. No, just do everything. Why? If you just keep doing
Hire
everything.
an assistant. Hire an assistant because you
Daryl.
need it.
Hey, Daryl, you want to be my
Yeah.
assistant?
Just hire Daryl.
I'll pay you with
Sold.
I'll pay you with exposure.
Oh, nice.
Right now, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I mean, I'll
so
probably
Jeff-
consolidate this all, hopefully, but not sure about that.
Yeah. Like, think about that setup that I told you about in the pre-show, where you just track everything on one tripod. Think about it.
See,
Think about it.
I don't want to do that with video. Oh, I don't know if I want to do it with video or not. I was like, I still don't know what I want to do. That's why I'm doing all four.
Oh wait,
Because-
yeah, I can tell you something you forgot about in that setup is you ever seen what I do with mine? How I have a cell phone mount that fits into the hot shoe just for some extra video. Yeah, don't forget
Oh,
that.
I have one of those. Yes.
Oh.
But
Seth, you have a problem.
I don't. It's just not use. It's just I don't find it useful. Like the video on the phone, like it's not wide enough to get the whole thing. If you have it static, if you move it, then you have the phone on top and you deal with it. Like I have 3 tripods and I have one for the streak, one for my big camera for stills, and then one tripod. I have a GoPro which is for video. Like,
Well,
it's kind of hard to mess that
all right.
up.
I'll tell you this: if you mount anything to the hot shoe of your camera, you're gonna pick up vibrations from the shutter slap.
Yeah.
Or the mirror slap, I should say. Actually, no, it's the shutter slap too because it happens on my mirrorless. The mirrorless, there's still some mechanical motion in there. The fact that it's mirrorless does not mean there's no moving parts. There actually are moving parts in a mirrorless.
And one thing I do like about this setup is I can actually wear my hat forward with this setup. I have not been able to do that for a very long time because I usually have my GoPro on top of my camera that I'm taking pictures with.
You ought to just strap the GoPro to your head.
Oh my gosh. I have thought about it because I have 2 little clamps for my tripod. I was going to have, okay, so I'm a mobile developer by trade, so I have multiple phones because I want to test on multiple devices. Comes in handy when you're going to launches is that I can have like Streamlab OBS, which I use for streaming. I can have a little like switcher on that for different scenes and stuff like that. So that's what one phone's for. That's the one I have in that. And then if I really want to, which when I was doing streams with my phone, I would do this. I would stream on my iPhone X, and then I would bring my Google Nexus and have Twitter.
Whoa, wait. Did you say a Nexus?
Yes. So I got it in college.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Same
I know,
here.
it is.
Like,
It is the reason why I have that is because when I was doing Android development, that was the only phone on the market at the time that had pure Android.
Oh.
So I didn't want to use Samsung because they have their own modifications of Android. Same thing with like BlackBerry and like all the other phones. Until the Google Pixel came out, but even Google Pixel it's not pure Android.
Dude, so I had to pack up all my stuff and move out of the place I was living in recently. And as I was going through all the stuff, I actually came across my original Nexus 1.
Wow.
I think that's the one I have. Right?
I'm sure if I charged it, it would still work.
Is that the one with the little ball on the bottom?
Yes, that was the one with the little ball on the bottom that lit up and everything. Like,
it's funny. My first Android device was the Motorola, the slide-out keyboard one.
Was that the one before the Nexus one?
Yes, so it technically came out just before it.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But my boss got the Motorola one at the same time, and he sold it for like $700 and bought the Nexus One.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's what started my addiction.
I love that Nexus. It even had that little slip cover that you slide the phone into and you're not using it. So I would look like this pretentious snob, pulling my phone out my pocket when it was ringing and then pulling it out of a slip cover. It's like, oh, who's calling me? Hello.
Oh my gosh.
Fancy.
Dude, when I got my first phone, the screen on the front, where it was flipped and it had the screen, you could see who's calling you. That was the best. Because I didn't have to pull out my phone, flip it open. You know, I could just like look at it. That was like my favorite thing.
Oh, wasn't that the Razor?
Yeah.
I did not have the Razor. I did have the Razor, but the one I had before the Razor, I can't remember what it was called. It was a Verizon only exclusive back when like they had exclusive phones for different companies, but like.
Oh, they still do.
I mean, they still do, but not as much as they did back then.
Like that's what's actually been annoying about the Pixel lately is that for the last 2 or 3 generations, if you're going to go buy it from a carrier, Verizon's the only one that carries it in store. If you want it for any other carrier, you got to go straight to Google, which is kind of annoying.
I'm just so used to having I've had an iPhone for so long, and I'm just so used to it being on all platforms. But no, I can't remember what it was called. It was what was it called? It was an LG phone. But yeah, it was like all black. It looked so sick. And I felt like the coolest person when I was out there on the baseball field. When I was like, I don't know how old I was, but like with my friends, and I'm like, my mom texted me, which back then was cool. Like, oh, you got a text from someone? That's awesome. Like,
I think we're aging each other here because I remember when texting started on cell phones.
Jeez.
Like, I remember when somebody sent me a message. I'm like, what? You can text people? Like, you can send messages?
I remember teaching my grandpa that.
I remember for work, my dad would bring home the cell phone that was in like a little miniature suitcase, like in a little purse. Yeah, I remember those. That was my start with them.
That's funny. I had the Nokia brick phone was my first phone. The Nokia,
same.
whatever
it was. Mine as well.
Like the big brick or the little brick?
The little one with Snake on it. And
that's the one I had.
I had the big brick.
So I had that so far after it was like popular, because I think my mom had that for her first phone, and then they kept it. And then when I was old enough, they were like, "Well, you should probably have a phone in case we need to get a hold of you." They just took that out of the drawer and charged it up, put a new SIM card in there, and gave it to me.
Actually, speaking of cell phones and astrophotography, I'm gonna go for my meme of the week a little early.
Okay.
Seth, I have my screen shared right now.
Yep.
It's totally appropriate for this. If anybody has ever seen an awesome view of the moon, it's like, wow, let me get a picture of that. And then you look at it on the phone, it's this tiny little dot that looks like shit.
So dumb. And then you zoom in, and you can't get it like steady or anything like that. Like
you really can. And sure enough, with the full moon that happened last weekend, I had a friend of mine who lives in Alaska. She was texting me saying, damn it, I love your work because you can get all these great pictures of the moon, and all I have is a cell phone, and it comes out like crap. and then I take pictures of the moon, send it to her. She's like, I hate you, but I love you at the same time.
I remember my first time with my 600 and taking a picture of the moon. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see the craters. I can see the craters.
It's pretty nuts.
And the first time seeing the moon, like where you the first time ever like having like a tripod and have it stationary at the moon and actually watching the moon move across your screen.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
And then when you do it often enough, you get pissed off. It's like, damn it, it moved.
Stop
Chase
moving!
It again. Chase it again. Like it's not as bad for like stars and things like that, unless you're trying to do something long exposure. But when you're doing the moon and it's running away from you, it's like, damn it, quick, get back over here.
I remember waiting for it to go between some tree branches, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, it's gonna go. Like I was waiting for it to move across a little bit. Ah, perfect. And then the shot came out horrible. But, you know, it's whatever. Whatever. So I don't know how to take pictures of the moon.
Yeah.
No, yeah, so I did, so when I was there, I did have a Razor. Like the Motorola Razor.
Oh, wow.
Though,
Yeah.
it was my mom's before. Like, that's kind of how the things go. My mom got it, and then I got it. My mom was in the pink. She was a Mary Kay rep or whatever. And so she had like a bunch of pink stuff for work. So she thought it would be great to have a pink Razor. And which was great for her until it came to me. And I'm like, I have a Razor. It's awesome, but it's pink. But that was by far my favorite phone. I love that phone.
Yeah, I went through like 2 or 3 of them when I was younger, and it had come out. And actually, I mentioned this on last week's episode too. I don't remember how we got onto it last week. Probably because of the drinks, and up until like early to mid last year, my mom was still using a Razor phone. And it still worked, held a charge, everything like that. Like it was solid. It still worked. But it was just time for her to get something more advanced.
She should have gotten the Razor flip phone, the new Razor.
Oh yeah.
That's what you should have gotten her. Because
I don't know if I trust that stuff these days.
I low key want one, not to use as my permanent phone though, but like just to have it. Like,
yeah,
it was like my favorite
cool.
phone. It looks so cool and it's so awesome. But I remember the phone my dad had. My dad worked for. He was an investigator for Homeland Security, and so their government phones before they went to smartphones, they had Nextels. Do you remember Nextels?
Oh,
with the chirping.
With the chirp, yep.
Yeah, he would call it chirping, which is kind of just what it was.
Yeah, that's what everybody called it.
Oh, was it actually the proper name? I was young. I don't know.
It was like the unofficial name of it.
Yeah, let me. I gotta go chirp someone. You go in the back room here.
Yep.
And they would do that because they had limited minutes for the government, and so they would never text. They would never call each other unless it was an emergency. And so all their communications were through that. So, oh my gosh, it was. Yeah, he would just walk into. My dad would say something, and I'll be like, I don't know if I wanted to know that. Like.
Yeah, those things were more of a fad than useful.
Yeah,
it's what I think of them.
Yeah. Then he got a BlackBerry,
really were.
And he couldn't figure out how to type with that thing.
How do you not figure out how to type? It's got a full QWERTY keyboard on.
He wouldn't type with his thumbs. He would type. He would put it on the table and use his index fingers.
Oh gosh.
I don't think he's. It took him maybe it was about 2 years ago. He stopped doing that.
Wow.
And because he's an iPhone, and so I think it's about 2 years ago he stopped. Unless it's super long. When you know he's typing out something really long on his phone, he sets it down and starts typing with his index fingers. And I'm like, oh, Dad, who are you yelling at? Who's? Because he's retired. He has no reason to talk in paragraphs. Like,
right?
Who messed up, Dad?
That's when you know he's mad.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. Oh man, good stuff.
Yo,
Can I share my my meme that we were talking about?
Yeah, go for it.
Hold up.
Let me see if I can. All right.
I gotta add you. I forgot to add you. You can start sharing your screen.
Okay.
I don't know. Seth runs all the technical stuff of the show behind the scenes, and I'm just over here like, hey, let's drink and talk smack about the space industry. Who screwed up this week?
Oh wait,
Boeing. Hey, props to Boeing. They didn't screw anything up this week.
Yeah, I think I see your screen. You can. All right. There we go.
So, it's not really a meme, but I just wanted to. I thought this was hilarious because I'd never noticed before that
Oh,
Elon
yeah.
Musk's Occupy Mars, whatever this is, sign or logo or whatever, is actually the moon.
Has that always been the
Wait,
moon?
I don't
That's
think
never-
it always.
I don't think it's always been the moon.
So because this is the most recent one, and I actually looked at or was looking it up. If you go to Occupy Mars, go to images.
Wait, the game on Steam? Whoa, what was that?
Wait.
Don't worry about
Oh
that.
no, you got Mars. You got Mars down there.
Yeah, so this is a tweet from last year, from 2019.
And it's the moon.
What is it? It's the moon,
Wait.
isn't it?
Yeah, that is. No, that really is.
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't,
See,
I don't believe
back
this.
2019. That's the moon. So
Occupy
I had
Mars.
gone ahead and decided to do my own version.
Occupy
Occupy
moon.
and I just put the picture of Mars.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Oh,
For those
man.
listening, it's the Occupy Moon. It's the Occupy Mars logo that SpaceX does, but it says moon and it's a picture of Mars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had never
Yes.
realized though that it was the moon.
Yeah, but
I'm about to
Or-
dig out my shirt. and
Hold
check
up.
the-
yeah, go check it. I'm
You
gonna go
have
to
a
the
shirt?
website and check their Occupy Mars.
I'll be back in a second. I'm gonna dig out my shirt.
Because yeah, this is his original tweet from 2019.
The
and it's the
original.
moon.
Wait, is that when they started with that?
I think so.
T-shirts. Okay, we're doing some
Yeah.
investigation here, guys. We gotta. No, their Occupy Mars shirt has Mars on it. On
Does
their
it really?
website. Yes, it does.
I wonder if it's always been like that.
Yeah, that is true.
'Cause
Has
some
it
of-
always been like that?
Like some of these are Mars, some of them are the moon, some of them are different Marses and different moons. Like, I guess because people have tried to make money.
Yeah,
off
I
of
guess
it.
they've made their own, and so okay, so we're not that crazy. I think it's. I don't know, man.
Oh, Daryl's got a shirt.
I lost it.
Oh.
I don't know where the heck it went.
Well, their shirt on their website has Mars on it. So,
All right.
but I don't know
It
about
does
that
now.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it does
it does
now. But
Somebody
I don't
quick,
think-
go to KSC and check the ones they haven't. Oh wait, they can't because KSC's closed now.
Oh yeah, everything's closed, bro. Yuri's Night got
I'll find it
canceled, or-
eventually.
I'm not sure if Yuri's Night got canceled or it was postponed.
It's
say
probably just postponed.
They said postponed, but in the email they said that they're going to be sending refunds for tickets.
Really?
Yes, it's in like the second to last or the last paragraph. That no, it's like the third to last. They say that they'll be sending out refunds. But if you would like to donate your ticket, reply to this email and let us know.
Don't it? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold up, I'm going to KSC. Going to their website, which hopefully it doesn't say the C word on there.
It probably does.
yeah,
Man, apparently that's more of a dirty word than the S word.
For those people who don't know what the C word is, that's not what you're thinking.
yeah.
Or it is what you're thinking if you see
It's-
this in the future, and maybe the C word's changed in the future.
It's the PG C word.
Let's
go with that.
Yeah. Okay. Where's what the home and office kit apparel T-shirts? I'm gonna find this. They don't have it.
What was that?
Not on their website.
There you
Wait,
go.
what?
They don't have Occupy
Oh.
Mars shirts on their website.
They're probably
What-
fixing them.
Yeah, they got
From
to fix.
KSC?
Yeah, in KSC they don't have They have Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, I believe, but they don't. They have.
They
Like,
have a store?
Yeah, they have a web store. You didn't know they had a web store?
Oh.
Yeah, it's the world's largest online web store. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but it's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it might be the biggest physical store, but And honestly, I'd go straight to the manufacturer for some stuff. There's some stuff I'll get while I'm there because it's like,
You
all
don't
right,
have
I'm
to pay
here,
for
I'll get
shipping.
something.
It's right there. You just gotta buy it. Yeah.
There's
But-
that, and like you said, like you do, every time you go there, you got to get yourself a book, which you
Yep.
have a big list to go through.
It keeps growing.
But, dude, when
can't
I
stop.
go there and look at stuff, I'm like, let me go to their website and see how much it costs. Give you a perfect example of how much they mark stuff up. And still, please patronize that store and everything like that. The folks who work there and stock it and work the registers, great folks. Patronize the store.
And we
buy
like
something from
KSC
them.
Visitor
But
Complex still being in business.
we do.
So,
But I will say, when you go to buy something in particular, like the desktop model of a Falcon 9, perfect example. You can buy that on SpaceX's website for like 120, something like that. You go to the store, it's 200. Like that's a little much, guys. Come on. Like I get y'all gotta make something off it. That's a bit much. So just putting things in perspective there.
So I guess I'll go in my meme of the week, which is
Yeah,
this
let's
is
do it.
this
What
is
you
an
got?
old one.
What you got?
Because I kind of forgot the one I realized I have for this week. I was gonna choose. Has a C word in it. I don't want to use it. So
Oh,
yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Hold up. Let me share it. But this
It
was
better-
this was also good as well. My screen, come on, load up. OBS is being super slow today. So it's for the people on stream, you can see it, but it's not Jeff Bezos. God. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates sitting there. Steve Jobs is Atlas V, and Bill Gates is the Delta 4. Bill Gates goes, "Remember when we had a failure?" And then Steve goes, "No, me neither." Laughs in 100% reliability.
Burn.
It's so great.
Ooh.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious. But
Man.
and the funniest thing, this came from a Twitter page, Starship and Super Heavy. So some little bit of.
I like how relevant people, Tori Bruno.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was he
yeah.
tagged in it
Yep,
somewhere?
that's pretty. Yeah, I think he's tagged. Yeah, he's tagged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why.
He loves it, but given his position, he kind of
can't
has to
say
stay away
anything.
from this kind of.
Well,
He
maybe
can't
wait,
say anything.
Did he? No, he did not. Okay, there was another meme
No.
about his reliability that he's commented on. Yeah, I remember seeing. But
If
was-
it's one where it's like, a picture of him in the hat riding a horse or something like that, he'll like that. But when it's a dig on someone else, like SpaceX
oh,
did
he's so professional. I love
last
it.
week, nah.
So
Yeah.
professional.
I
he's
still
good.
can't get over that.
There is one more piece of news this week that we have to go over, and that is our favorite little lander on Mars, InSight.
Mhm.
So last week they've decided that they have tried everything. They have done everything they can, so they're just gonna push it. And there's a video, and it's actually working. Now, it is angled.
What?
It's gone down. It looks like it's gone down about an inch and a half. Maybe an
It's like
inch.
they're pushing it down further and getting it stuck more. Is that
Uh,
what is
I
that
don't.
what the idea?
The
of
thing
it?
is, they can't pull it out. They can't. It can't go down on its own power. And so, what else are you gonna do with it? You might as well push it and see if it keeps going.
Okay.
I mean,
guess.
and I just love it because it's just like, they've given up.
It's, it-
What else?
It's
Can we
sad.
do?
it's
but-
like I said, they're playing whack-a-mole on Mars. It's the most expensive and it's whack-a-mole on Mars. That's what it
I
is.
so hope this works. I so hope this works.
Oh.
Like, I hope they're just pushing, and all of a sudden it just starts going. And then it's
Oh,
fine.
I do too. I just can't help but point out the silliness behind it. But hey, I mean, strange things happen like that in spaceflight.
Though my
You
one
can
concern
You can
is
over-engineer anything, and then the goofiest plan ends up working.
my one
So,
concern
maybe.
is it is going in not straight. It does have a little bit of a curve.
Maybe
For the children
Mars
who do not
2020
understand that, don't ask your parents about it. But
Maybe
yeah,
Mars
it's,
2020 can go and rescue it.
save them all. Save them all.
Yeah. or ExoMars if it ever launches.
Yeah, because that got
Delayed,
pushed
right?
back. That got delayed.
Delayed? Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, was that due to recent events or was that due to just technical challenges?
Here's the funny thing.
I've heard a few things. Yeah.
When it was originally announced, they were saying it was like a parachute thing or a solar panel thing, something technical and whatnot, and then the C word was invoked. How?
Which, well, they
come
might
on.
not. They aren't. That is an ESA thing, right? So they might not be able to travel to their facilities, and they might not be able to conjugate in large groups. That might be the issue. Like they physically cannot work on it.
Yeah.
So
And that's I hate the fact that we ended up circling back around to it, but that is going to affect spaceflight everywhere because Arianespace basically put everything on hold that was launching out of French Guiana this year, for the foreseeable future. So no return of the Vega, which is my favorite launch just to watch because that thing at T0 it yeets out of there like peace out, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It yeets in a hurry. And now we're looking at, KSC visitor centers basically shut down. Haven't heard anything about how the individual companies are dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta imagine that they're gonna do something.
I read an article. It was I think not Amir. I don't remember who wrote it, but it was an NBC one. They're all SpaceX is so far not well. Okay, Elon doesn't believe. Elon's not. It's like it's just flu. Like he's which is not exactly true. There's differences.
It's really
we're not medical professionals. We're not going to go into it. But he's kind of like. But he did say like if you're not feeling well, don't come in. But they're pushing forward. Like they have not invoked any special procedures. Neither has Blue Origin. Neither has. I don't think ULA has. I think they were in there. No, Boeing and Lockheed Martin were the only two that said that
Boeing had people test positive.
Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Blue Origins have all restricted their travel for business, but they have not.
And of course, I gotta say, of course, Boeing has people that tested positive.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't be surprised by that one.
It's Boeing, so
yeah, why not? Yeah, at this point, just tack everything on. But it ends up getting sent, on to the moon. Like whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
maybe.
Whatever.
Mars 2020 has it, I think.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know what NASA's all remote. I think at this point, I know Kennedy, Marshall and Ames are like stage 3, 100% remote.
Yeah,
they're
stay your butts at home.
Only mission critical people at work, which I'm assuming will be coming soon to your nearby NASA facility.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if, though Brevard County, which is what Kennedy Space Center is in, has 0 cases.
Yep.
Though the
that
number of cases
of.
that they have 0 tested positive, so it doesn't mean that there's people actually staying home and can't be tested. But
they're not viewing areas for launches are obviously affected. It's one of those things we don't know if it's. We don't know if it's going to affect the actual launch schedule though. That's the weird thing.
It sucks because the setup that I got for SciComm, like I was going to plan on using it for SciComm. Now I don't know if I'm going. I really, really want to, and I have reasons why I should, but I don't want to.
My problem is, and I'm sure people who follow me on Twitter and maybe friends with me on Facebook, you've seen my stance on it, while I'm taking it relaxed and everything like that. I have to worry not just about myself and the general public around me. I have my parents to worry about because I go and take care of my dad who's not in the best of health. And, my mom isn't really in the best of health either. But, half of the week, in the evenings, I'm there at their house. I have to be extra careful, not for my sake, for their sake. I'm not so much worried about myself. I'm worried about them. So that's why I canceled my Starlink trip. I mean, it's just a Starlink, but I was going to see something lift off from 39 finally, which we all know didn't happen. but
Yeah, you would have seen
I
a
was
really
ready to do
great
that.
abort.
Yeah, I would have seen a really great cloud of smoke from the
Mhm.
beach. I was originally going to see it from the Saturn V Center. I had those tickets, and I ended up not doing that, and I was going to go to the beach, but I ended up canceling the whole trip. And now for something bigger like Salcom, or if I was going to go do AEHF 6, because I've never seen an Atlas 5 from a good vantage point yet, I have to reconsider all of those.
Yep.
So I'm probably not going to be back in Florida for a while, which it sucks, but I got to do the responsible thing and be careful.
Yep.
But
Same.
as far as canceling launches, I think if it starts to affect the workforce involved with these launches, then we'll see cancellations from Florida. I think ESA may have.
Well,
They're
ESA is over
trying
in
to stay
Europe,
ahead of
and
the curve.
and ESA is in Europe, so they
Mhm.
kind of have it worse than us over there, especially Italy.
Yeah.
Which is where I think Italy is one of the major partners in ESA, like one of the bigger ones.
Well, yeah. ESA or Aryan Group is hosted in or
Italy.
headquartered in Paris, France, right?
Oh, it's France, not Italy. My bad. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Their language sounds the same.
Oh, okay. Well, don't get me started on ESA and Aryan Group and the confusion cluster that those companies.
But I will say, and we talked about this in the pre-show, that when you buy their merch and they send all the little extra stuff with it, I wish I still had. Oh wait, I do have it. And they send you like little extra stuff like this. The graphic design on it, like I gotta say, it's like top-notch stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed reading through this thing.
Is
They
as
came just with a
good
damn hoodie.
as the veggie sticker.
I gotta say, ESA has the best. ESA and Air and Space have the best graphics.
Yeah.
I think in space companies, I guess they're so good. They're so. Oh.
It's crazy how much like stuff that NASA has, though you'll never get it because they don't sell it. Like the pin, like the SLS pin, is like super cool, but you can only get it if you like work at NASA, if you do a social. Like the only way you'll ever get the Veggie Lab sticker is if you go to a social and you go into the Veggie Lab. Like that's the only they keep them there in the Veggie Lab, nowhere else.
Yeah, but so, there's good stuff, and good on the ESA too, because that transfers not only from their like paperwork, pamphlets, handouts, even to their actual stuff you can wear. Like I've browsed through their store pretty consistently. It's great stuff. I will say though, for all of our folks in the U.S., when you're buying their stuff, buy a size up. Because I got my hoodie and it fits, but it barely fits, and I'm not a big guy, so buy a size up. But it was really good. I got the Solar Orbiter hoodie for a launch that I walked away from and ended up going up on time like it was supposed to, and yeah, that's a hell of a story for a previous episode.
So Geoff, this is probably a horrible time to ask this because you're not going to probably doing it for another year. Like, when are you coming to our launch? When are we going to see you down here in Florida?
Hopefully this year.
Really? Well, let's see. You plan to come for DM2?
I have no plans right now to come anytime soon.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I was hopefully coming to a more recent one, but all the shenanigans that have come up with the world and stopping me from traveling. So I won't be doing that. Hopefully this year I'll be at one, and that should be pretty cool.
I feel like if you would come with one, if you would come to one, I feel like DM2 is the one. DM2 or SLS.
Yeah. So the only other launch I've ever seen was one of the ULA. Which one was it? One of their secret ones.
One of their
NROL?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it was
so
it was 59 or.
It was a Delta.
Yeah.
So you have
I
seen
saw
a
it from. Kind of technically.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Wait, what's the story?
Yeah. Okay.
I saw it from the visitor center.
Oh, wow. That's close enough.
and
That counts.
yeah, we were kind of like late and running around the corner and kind of missed half of it. But
Oh,
technically, I did see a rocket take off.
I don't know.
Hey, it counts. It definitely counts.
You gotta come. I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like it's either DM2, SLS, or you gotta see a Falcon Heavy one. A Falcon Heavy launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
feel
Once
like
everything supposedly calms down, there should be a Falcon Heavy. I believe at the end of the year or early next
I
year
think it's next year.
is what they're looking at.
Yeah, I think
It's
next year.
probably gonna end up being next year with everything going on, but as of now, they're saying maybe end of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, I think like late 2020, but it's gonna be next year, 100%. I think
Yeah.
what I've heard is gonna be next year.
That's the way they always go. They always go a little bit later, a little bit later, a little
Yeah,
bit later.
yeah.
All right, now we'll go.
Yep.
I will be in Florida later in the summer, but not specifically for a launch. I'll be on the other side of the coast.
Ah.
But if there is one and there's a possibility and there's time and everything else, then maybe I'll scoot over.
Hey, the great thing is Starlink gives a lot of people a lot of opportunities right now to see stuff.
True, yeah.
Even if it's just a Starlink, go see it.
It was sad. Our original vacation plans lined up to be, I think, the day after Mars 2020 is scheduled to take off. So I was hoping it would be
Man, I
delayed
hope-
by a couple days and get to see that.
I really hope that doesn't get pushed back due to this. I hope it's not one of those where they're still launching it, but I can't travel. 'Cause that would suck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would just suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would.
Because when's
they're-
the next rover gonna
It's
launch?
June.
Yeah,
That
it
one,
is.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's June.
And-
I think they have like a they have a fairly long window.
I think it's a
window's
couple
pretty big.
months. I think
It's like a 2-month launch window.
maybe.
I believe.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but I mean
Yeah, so
the Mars like window is the next couple of years, I think. But
Yeah,
not next couple of years. Like next
26
year.
months.
Yeah, 26 months. But like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what their window for this launch is. It might be that 26 months. But
Yeah, it's like that's why ExoMars got pushed back so far, not for the technical reasons, but the technical reasons pushed it out of its window. So
yeah.
it's a
Are
damn
we
shame.
calling it Mars 2020 and ExoMars? Are we calling them by their actual names
we
now?
can call it Percy. Perseverance.
It's gonna be Percy.
I don't mind
It's-
Percy. I don't mind Percy.
No,
at all.
that's not bad.
Honestly, like John Krause tweeted out, the only thing that truly deserves the full name of Perseverance is SLS.
That's true.
Like, man, that was a hot zinger right
I
there.
mean,
when he
I mean
put that out.
SLS, James Webb.
I was gonna say James Webb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
James,
James
Webb's
Webb
been,
too.
James Webb started back when Shuttle started. Not Shuttle, sorry.
Yeah.
Hubble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did.
'cause- yeah, that's when it started, but they didn't have the technology until now. But,
And really, Hubble was in the planning before Challenger was lost.
Yep.
It's funny.
That's how far back that goes.
If you look back a little bit, you'll see that NASA was initially participating in ExoMars, but stopped because of the James Webb Telescope costing too much money.
Jeez.
This is back, I think, 2012.
Oh,
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
not surprised by that. Fun fact, though, Hubble, just a keyhole satellite, turned the opposite direction. That's all it was.
Yeah. NROL satellites, they're basically Hubbles pointed down.
Yeah,
It's really what they are.
Yeah, they've yeah. It's crazy though. That's literally the images that we got from Hubble, and that's just literally the images that there's way more of those satellites pointing towards us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Imagine they just turned all those
If you look out your
around.
window, you could probably they're taking a picture of you right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Go out and wave to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
But wait.
Actually, speaking of things flying over, I gotta make a little side trip real fast. So apparently in the history of spaceflight, I forget how far back it goes. I think it goes back to the Skylab days, and I forget the astronaut's name, but there was an astronaut who brought a ham radio up to Skylab with him, and when he wasn't doing like official stuff, he would communicate with people on the ground, and it's apparently still a thing to this day. Like
Yep.
astronauts on the ISS will do it. I picked up this little radio on Amazon for like $30. hoping to pick up on some of that is whenever the ISS passes over. Now, in my area here in New Orleans, we're getting flyovers at either, 7 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 in the morning when people down here wouldn't be using that kind of stuff. But I've been catching myself running outside, listening on this thing. The frequency is 145.8. Just trying to pick up them saying anything to anybody on the ground on that. I believe that's a VHF frequency. I forget. But yeah, like $30 on Amazon just to hear the ISS talking to the ground. It's really cool.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I will. If I ever pick up something, I'll try and just record something on my phone, and I'll throw something up saying, "Hey, I heard the ISS talking to the ground." So you're not going to hear the actual, business transmissions and everything like that. I'm sure that's all coded stuff for ITAR reasons and things like that. But whenever they just like casually communicate with folks on the ground, like they'll do it with schools and things like that. Obviously not right now, but if they're ever communicating with somebody on the ground, I'm gonna try and pick it up.
Yeah, you can, and yeah, you can. If you have your license, you can talk to them, talk back and forth, and ask them a question or something when they fly by, if they have time.
I think I do have an FCC license that lets me do that. No, I trained and got the license and everything through AT&T working for when I used to work for them. I got to check and see if it lets me do that. That'll be pretty cool if that works.
Daryl's going to be in jail next week because he's talking to the space station.
Well, I'm going to be looking for a new host. Geoff, you want to come on for another week?
That talk.
Sure. Yeah, fine.
Might need a new host.
No, I got warned by people when I was out at CRS-20 on the pier. I wish I'd gotten their names. Really cool guys. We chatted up about all kinds of just random stuff, space flight history, and I saw that they had radios like that. Well, they turned me on to that about being able to pick up transmissions from the ISS on those public frequencies. And they also had a separate thing going where people would just talk over different frequencies and whatnot. Somebody was doing an actual countdown on there, and it was accurate to the second. Like some other people had their phones out and things like that. These guys, they had their radios up loud. I can hear the countdown, and it was going, and it was accurate. I'm like, I need to be around those folks, or I need that frequency because I need to know when that's going up.
That's awesome. Yeah. You can look up on YouTube, and you can get videos of some pro ham radio guys actually talking to the space station astronauts.
Ooh, I know what I'm looking up later. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, I don't think we have any other news. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Let's go and do it. Geoff, anything else you wanted to plug?
No, I'm good. Just thanks again for having me. That's all. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
It's great to actually talk to you, like in person, chat and hang out with you, have some drinks with you and whatnot. It's really cool. Yeah. Really cool.
You need to be on more podcasts. You should.
Thank you.
You need to be on Press It for Flight. Like.
Definitely.
It's fun. So.
Yeah, if they call me, I'll answer.
Yes, indeed.
It's a lot of fun. Trust me, it's a lot of fun. All right, so thank you. With that being said, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure you guys leave a like and a rating on the podcast. That really helps us out. Leave a like and a comment on the video if you're watching post on the YouTube videos. Thank you everyone for coming out live, and we will see you next week. See ya.